A tiny percentage of women out there truly understand what it takes to get their husband to love them more. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through exactly what steps they take in order to be able to do that effectively. Now, before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk you through a little bit more about how to improve your marriage, how to go about really improving your understanding of male psychology, and what you can do from within to really heal yourself through some really difficult times in your marriage. Now, the first step to take to get your husband to love you more is to make sure that you're committed to meeting those needs of his. Now, some of you may get triggered by this statement, but I want to be really clear here. When we're talking about meeting someone's needs, in a relationship, in order to take it to the next level, in order to have something really magnificent, you've got to be committed to really learning about your partner and then going at a deep level to understand what are their fundamental needs and how can I serve those needs, and vice versa as well. That's how we create an extraordinary marriage. See, one of the things I really believe in is that in society, we don't value the success of relationships very much. We look at the success of someone's career, or we look at the success of them financially, or some people view success of how they appear physically and so on. But there's not many people really talking about the success of a marriage and effectively being an example of a couple that have taken their marriage to a whole new level. We settle for really low standards in a marriage, and often it's because we're so focused on our own needs and what we're getting that we fail to understand what the other person is truly needing. What is your husband really needing at the deepest level? Does he have a deep wound of inadequacy? Does he feel like he's not good enough and you're needing to be there to fill that up as much as you possibly can? Does he have a number of other insecurities that you can contribute towards him resolving and working through within himself? Not something that you fix for him, but that you can play your part in elevating him as a man. There are so many things that we can actually do to elevate another individual, but we've got to make that commitment in our own mind to say, my focus is what can I do to meet this man's needs? Not at a level of, 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10, but like 10 out of 10, really doing your absolute best to try and elevate that person. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there going, but hang on, my needs aren't being met, so why should I do that for him? This is the wrong mindset. Someone in a marriage always has to take the lead. Until it's at a level where both parties are almost addicted to serving each other at the deepest level, one person has to take the lead, especially if there are problems in a marriage. So you have to make sure that you are taking that lead, taking that initiative. If you need to do some healing work in advance before you're ready to do those things, that's absolutely fine. But once that work is done, or you can operate it in parallel, you need to be making sure that you are lifting that other person. I mean, think about it for a second. When it comes to your kids, are you going to keep a little checklist on what that person has given back to you in terms of all the things that you've done for them? Are you going to keep a tab on that? Of course not, because they're our kids. We're giving beyond ourselves. And we almost have to take that same approach. Obviously, there are differences, but we've got to have that intention to love, to serve, to give in the most beautiful, heart-centric way as we possibly can. Then what happens as that person is lifted, then you can start to open up dialogue in a much better way, where you can talk more about the things that you're needing, and then both parties become really understanding of what each other needs and can serve each other at the levels that they need. But unless someone takes the lead and wants to genuinely serve that person, then it becomes a really difficult thing. Now, as I said, the key part of this is making sure that you're doing your own healing as well, because if you're empty inside, you're not going to be able to give at the level that you need to. Secondly, you've got to have a genuine desire to grow and to improve, not just for the marriage, but for your own self. Now, this is something I'm really, really passionate about, because I've always said that a marriage is often a reflection of our own challenges on the inside. If we are dealing with guilt issues, if we are dealing with inadequacy issues, if we are dealing with rejection issues in the marriage, they are a reflection of the guilt, the inadequacy, the rejection wounds on the inside. And if we understand that, we recognize that a lot of the healing needs to actually come from within, because if you heal those wounds, then how you perceive experiences and behaviors from the other individual is going to change. You know, Wayne Dyer, the famous spiritual teacher, he had a lovely quote which says, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. What that fundamentally means is that if we change our viewpoint, our emotions, our beliefs around something, then we're going to interpret and perceive those things in a completely different way, and often a positive way, in a beautiful way, in an authentic way. Let's say you've got some deep-rooted issues around rejection, for example. Now, if you were to go and ask your husband, hey, hun, would you like to go on a date or something this weekend? And he goes, oh, no, sorry, I can't make it this weekend. Then those wounds of rejection are going to take over, and you're going to feel a deeper level of rejection when he says those things. But let's say you've healed those wounds of rejection. You might be able to come back after he said, oh, sorry, I can't make it this week. And you might say, okay, that's fine. How about next weekend? Does that work? Should we go on Thursday? Should we go on Friday? What day works for you? Because you're actually looking at it more from a pragmatic and a practical perspective, and you're not seeing it through the filters of your own wounds of rejection. And that's really important. If we can change our perception of things, and we can change our interpretation of things, everything can completely change. We're more balanced emotionally. We're able to get our message across to the other individual in a beautiful and classy way. And they won't get as triggered as well, because they won't be sitting there going, but hang on, all I said was, I just said I couldn't do it that weekend. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I don't care for you, and so on. It's amazing. Often so many problems in relationships come from stacking of lots of little behaviors over time. And relationships always magnify the deepest parts of ourselves. And that's why it's such an important thing to have the desire to sincerely want to improve and grow, because that demonstrates that you're not just trying to get all of your needs met by that other person, but you're actually trying to get those needs met within you. And then what's beautiful is that as you do that, then your relationship starts to become a reflection of how you feel about yourself, and that's when things really go to a whole different level. Now, the third way to get your husband to love you more is to really become a raving fan of his. You know, once again, I feel like so many relationships are operating at lower standards. And you really want to get to a place where you think about your husband, and what goes through your mind are thoughts of admiration, respect, joy, love, happiness. You know, those are the emotions that you want to feel when it comes to your husband. Most people, unfortunately, are focusing more on, you know, thoughts of rejection or sadness or guilt or fear or anxiety and so on. You know, being his number one cheerleader is one of the most powerful ways to get him to really love you at the deepest level, to want to be around you, to want to spend more time with you, and just have those beautiful moments. There is nothing better, and you know this as a person, when someone that you care about almost worships the ground that you walk on and just thinks you're absolutely incredible. How does that make you feel? It's a beautiful feeling. And I know I talk a lot about filling your own boots, but at the same time, there is a human element within us that loves those feelings. We have to go about elevating the other person as well. We've got to lift them up. And one of the most powerful ways we can do that is just being his raving fan. If there are some things that he's really good at, talk him up about it. Tell him how much you admire those things. Wow, it's so amazing that you know that. Or I just find it so incredible that you know so much about that. Or damn, that shirt looks sexy on you, hun. Or whatever it is, right? There are so many beautiful ways to elevate a man. And, you know, as you open up that doorway for that kind of behavior, then once again, it allows that to be reciprocated as well in such a beautiful way. Become his number one cheerleader. Talk him up. You know, even when you talk to your friends, talk him up. You know, really admire his characteristics and his traits, and not just the superficial stuff, but the in-depth stuff. The things that are aspects of his character. Find admiration for those, elevate those as well. And finally, enable his masculine energy by stepping completely into your feminine energy as much as you possibly can as well. Now, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but often when under stress, women will tend to revert more into the masculine energy and men revert more into their feminine energy. What will end up happening there is that women will try and establish more control, there'll be more fear, there'll be more anxiety. And that just comes from a place where they feel out of control and this is their way of getting control. You don't want to do that, because what will end up happening is he'll start to shut down, he'll stonewall, he'll start to do the things that effectively help him avoid the situation and protect himself. You want to allow yourself to still spend that time connecting in with your own femininity. And that means that if you need to go out and spend some time in nature, really connecting in with nature and taking a beautiful walk along the beach, or even just watching the birds fly by. It might sound really simple, but it allows you to find more presence in the moment. That allows you to connect more with your femininity. Wearing something that actually makes you feel feminine within you, connecting in with your own heart. The beauty of feminine energy is it comes from the heart. It's pure love that radiates from the heart when a woman connects in with her femininity. So allow that to shine, allow that energy to really flow in abundance. That also means that you give him the space to do things and to step up for you as well. If you need him to do something for you, ask in a beautiful way. Bring out more of that playfulness. It's such a powerful skill to engage in. When you're more playful, when you're more fun, when you're light as far as your energy goes, then he's going to want to be around that more as well. And it's going to allow him to get more into that place where he's wanting to be around you and wanting to give you more love and so on. When there is too much dominance or too much masculine energy on the female front, that's where problems can really arise. So allow yourself to connect in with your femininity, really radiate that love and that light on the inside, and it will be expressed on the outside as well. And then as that happens, just observe the changes that occur as you start to do that. I hope this all makes sense. If you've got any questions, make sure you write them down in the comment section below. If you've liked this video, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And what I suggest you do now is, if you're wanting to really embrace that femininity on the inside, then check this video above and it'll walk you through a few steps that you can engage in now to start to really magnify that and express that in such a beautiful way. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.